Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Mansfield Town News and Views podcast. Apologies, I'm not able to live stream for some reason. I was able to live stream for about over 10 minutes, but I've tried numerous times to try and go live again on Facebook, but for some reason it's now not allowing me to, so apologies for that. So in this video, I'm just going to give my brief thoughts on the playoff final review, retained list, and talk about transfer rumours that have been bandied about in the last couple of days. So I'll start off by talking about the dreaded playoff final. It's still hurting now, to be honest, because again, it was just such a bad way to end what's been a great season for us, really. To end it in the fashion that we did, to get absolutely battered, result-wise, performance, we got out-muscled. It was just, it just went from bad to worse, didn't it? 2 goals down, player sent off in the 30th minute, and in my opinion, in the 30th minute, that was it. The game was pretty much gone. I mean, it's hard enough when you're 2-0 down in any game, but when you've got a player sent off in a final like that, then, it's always, it's always going to be an uphill battle from that point of view. So it's just one of them. It's just, we just didn't turn up, did we? It was nowhere near to where we thought we'd have been, really, in terms of performance. It was nowhere near good enough. I think in terms of performance, it's got to be right up there with one of the worst ones, to be fair, because, again, like I say, we just wasn't at it at all. There were poor goals to concede, players out of position. And again, we have to credit Port Vale, though, at the same time. Obviously Darrell Clarke, he's been through a lot of personal issues, so it's great for him, obviously, to get that at the end of the season. And thoughts so with his friends and family. Obviously with him losing his daughter as well. Very, very sad to hear that he's had to go through that. So best wishes to you, Darrell, in that respect. But Port Vale, they were the better side. It's like they just wanted it more. They played great football. They were more physical than us. They were quicker. They were just a good side to watch, and they really was up for it. They just took the game to us, essentially, and it could have easily been 4 or 5 had it not been for the linesman and the crossbar, to be honest, because they created that many chances. It could have been a cricket score, to be fair. And Mal Bennin had his, and definitely, in my opinion, the man of the match. Just to rub salt into the wounds, he scored the first goal, which essentially, killed the game well and truly off, really. In the last stage of the game, but no, he had a really good game, to be fair to Bennin. In my opinion, he was the man of the match. He put in some good balls, scored himself a goal, and it really was such a kick in the teeth, really, to be fair. But yeah, look, like I said earlier, we just wasn't at it. Players didn't turn up, and it was, when you look at it in playoff finals, I mean, had we have took it to extra time or penalties, it's one of them. You can say to yourself, if you've done that, well, we've took it as far as what we can. We've given them a game, then you can walk away from it being somewhat satisfied. But I just couldn't. There was just nothing good to say about that game at all. It was just really bad. I think the only highlight for me was the supporters. I think even at 2 and 3-0 down, the fans, including myself, didn't stop singing and chanting all along throughout the game, and the support was fantastic. But other than that, just a really bad day, to be honest. Just a really bad day overall, and such a bad way to end the season, to be fair. So yeah, just really shocking, to be honest with you guys. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. Being an understatement, to be honest, but yeah, it's probably the worst way you could end a season, in my opinion. It really is. You know, for uh, now that we've gone over that, the retain list came out recently, so we're gonna go under the retained and under contract list first. So Lucas Akins, Kellen Gordon, Ollie Hawkins, Elliot Hewitt, George Lapsley, Rhys Oates, John Joe O'Toole, and Owen Mason are retained and under contract. Options triggered: Ollie Clark, Jason Law, George Morris, Stephen McLaughlin, and Kieran Wallace. Contract discussions underway: Jordan Bowery, James Perch, and Stephen Quinn. Loans expired: Nathan Bishop, Matty Longstaff, Jamie Murphy, and Ryan Stirk. Available for transfer: Danny Johnson, and those that are released are Josh Scott, Marek Steck, and Farron Rawson. And if we scroll further down, the club has also triggered a clause in the contracts of defender George Cooper and forward James Gale to extend their stay at the Stags. And also a new 6-month contract has been offered to striker Jimmy Knowles. So that's the retain list there for you guys. I mean, to be honest, like I said the other day, there's no real surprises in there for me, to be honest with you, in terms of, you know, players going and, you know, just being available for transfer. So let's start off by talking about the players that have been released. Joshua Scott, a young player that never really got to see much of, to be fair. But you know, he's still a young lad, so still got plenty of years left in him to, you know, make a name for himself. So best of luck to you, Josh. Marek, you know, Marek, to be honest with you, obviously hasn't played hardly all this season. He's, you know, it's been all Nathan Bishop, so Marek hasn't, you know, hardly played any games this season. But, you know, he's become such a fan favourite, you know, and for a player that hasn't played, he's been like a fan, hasn't he? You know, he's been great on the touchline when we've scored a goal. He's been cheering the lads on, and, you know, it's great to have players like that they're not playing games, but they're getting fully behind the team, and, you know, it's fantastic, and, you know, it's great stuff. So, you know, best of luck to Marek as well. And Farron Rawson. I mean, Rawson's one of them players where the thing what really did it for me with Rawson was there was games that he did play well in. You know, there was some good games that he has had this season, but the downfall with Rawson is he made too many individual mistakes, in my opinion. You know, there were games where when he made a mistake, it usually led to us dropping points. And that's the only downside to him, because had he not had them individual mistakes, you know, I think he'd have been great and would have kept him on. But, you know, it's to me, I think he made a couple of mistakes too often for me, so I'm not too surprised by that. The one that's, although it's not a surprise to see him transfer listed, Danny Johnson, I do feel for him because he hasn't been given much of a chance at all to really show what he's made of. You know, he's someone when we signed was, well, essentially to be a goal scorer like he had been for Leyton Orient in the season previous, and you know, for whatever reason, Nigel's not had him playing any games hardly at all this season. Because he started off the season so brightly, you know, and even in pre-season he scored a couple of goals there, and, you know, he looked the real deal. And then he had that injury that kept him out for a couple of months, and then when he came back in the side, he wasn't. He wasn't always getting picked a lot, and then I think one of the last games that he did do well in, he got a hat trick in one of the cups that we was in, and then, after that, he's been available, but we haven't seen anything of him. So it's a bit of an unusual one with Danny Johnson, to be honest. And like I say, I do feel for him because he hasn't been given much of a chance really to show what he can do. So not surprised at that at all. But like I say, it's a strange one because again he's a goal scorer. So my only guess is, I'm only guessing here. I'm not saying this has happened. I don't know anything within the club, so don't quote me on this. But my only guess is he could have had a fallout with Nigel because I don't get why he hasn't featured much. But again, I could be wrong by saying that. I could be totally off the mark. But I don't know why he's not been given much of a chance over this season. It just bemuses me, to be fair, but that's just football for you. It could be like that. Options triggered as well regarding players for next season. Big Clark, Jason Law, George Morris, Stephen McLaughlin, Kim Wallace. To be honest with you, I think it's good that we've kept all the players on. I'm surprised we've kept Jason Law on, purely because he's another one that hasn't been played hardly at all this season. But again, I feel for him as well because he had a good end to last season as well. And I know we have signed some really good midfielders in there. And I know it's obviously hard for him to get in the side. But, I'm quite surprised that we've kept him on. But I'm glad we have because, again, he's still a young player, still developing. So I'm glad we have kept him on. To be honest with you, I'm glad we've kept him there. And also, Jimmy Knowles has been offered a 6-month contract as well, and he's been another player that's been, been someone that again we haven't seen hardly anything of at all. That's been down to his injury, though. We had that loan out in Scotland, and then, like I say, he's been injured for much of this season. So, but again, he's another young player that's still got a lot of development in him, and obviously Nigel's, going to give him 6 months contract to see what he can do in pre-season. So for a lot of these younger players, pre-season's going to be massive. It really is. But the good thing about Nigel is he's the type of manager that's going to give young players chances, and it's one of them we've seen him do that before in his previous clubs. So it's not too late for the likes of Jason Law and Jimmy Knowles to really make an impression at the club still. I mean, it's going to be difficult with the players in front of them, but again, if they have a good pre-season, who knows? They might find themselves involved in the first team. So, we'll see what happens in that respect. But yeah, to be honest with you, the retained list at this moment in time, if we can keep the majority of squad we had last season into next season and add to it, then I'm hoping that'll be enough, touch wood, to see us competing for an automatic spot next season, hopefully. But again, that just all depends on who we can keep from this current group of players, really. Let's see what happens. And, obviously Nathan Bishop, another player, one of many players we've had on loan this season from Man United. Nigel does want to see him back next season. Obviously, we all want to see him at Mansfield next season. But I'd be very surprised if we did get him, purely because he's had a really good season, and I'm sure Man United would want to get him in a high level to test him up there. So I wouldn't hold too much out for Bishop, in my opinion. But if we could get him on loan again for this season, it would be one of, if not the signing of the season for next year. But we'll have to see how that one develops. But yeah, let's see what happens. Speaking of players next season that we have been linked with, the first player we've been linked with so far is Michael Jacobs. He's a winger from Portsmouth, 30 years old. Someone that Nigel knows a lot. He had him at Derby a few seasons back, so another ex-player that he had there at Derby. So, I mean, again, it's just rumoured at this point. I haven't seen too much in it to suggest that it's legitimate. It's just rumoured, but I mean, it's one of them. I'm not sure if he would improve what we've got. I mean, to be honest with you, I don't know much about him, but when you look at his CV, he has played for some big clubs. He has made a lot of appearances in Championship League One level, so he's definitely got the experience. So if we do sign him, then I think he'll be someone that will definitely add to an already good experienced squad we've got. But like I say, we'll have to see if that develops into anything. But at this moment in time, there's nothing set in stone for that. So we'll have to watch on how that develops. But yeah, like I say, he's someone that's had a lot of good experience in him. You know, played for Derby, Wolverhampton Wanderers, Blackpool, Wigan, and Portsmouth. So yeah, he's had a good long career. He has. So again, it just all depends on how he would fit into the side and what have you. But yeah, I think if we can sign players, with that experience of Championship and League One, then that'd be great. In my opinion, because I think that's what we need. We need preferable players that are good at this level, but when they've had experience like what Stephen Quinn and James Perch has at Championship, Premiership level, or League One level, if preferable, then it's always a bonus in my opinion. So he'd be more than good enough for League Two. Michael Jacobs, he's again anyone that's got League One experience and understands that in League Two, then you're laughing essentially. So we'll have to see how that one develops. But yeah, like I say, Michael Jacobs at this moment in time is the only transfer rumour that I've seen. I mean, that could change soon, tomorrow or the rest of this week, but that's the only rumour that I've seen so far. But again, there's nothing really concrete in that other than that he's a former player and Nigel had at Derby. But we'll have to see if that develops. But no, other than that, guys, I think if we can keep the majority of squad together from this season into next and add to it, then hopefully that'll be enough to see us challenging for an automatic spot and, so we can go again. I mean, obviously the season, how it ended, it was a really bad way to end it, obviously getting beaten like we did, but just to get to the final from where we was in October is something to be proud of. And I know it might not seem like it now. Obviously, we're all still down and we're still frustrated by it. But, it's one of them. Let's hope the players can learn from it as well as Nigel, and we can just kick on from next season, really, and, make sure that it doesn't happen again. So let's hope so anyway. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for the support for the page for this season. Appreciate the kind words. I want to thank you as well, John, for putting the post that you did up earlier on. It meant a hell of a lot to me. And thanks to everyone for commenting. And I'm just talking about in general on the page. Just thanks for supporting us. Thanks for liking it. Their interviews, the blogs, everything that we put up on the page. Because I couldn't do it without you guys. I mean, I know I'm the one that does podcasts and I do interviews, but I do it for you guys, because I'm no different to any other Mansfield fan. I'm just lucky enough to have a lot of people watch me and just listen to see what I've got to say. And whether or not people agree with me or not, I appreciate people's support. And, again, you guys are the star of the show, because it is the channel for Stags fans. It really is. And like I say, got so many ex-player interviews lined up this summer and so many exciting things to the page that I can't wait to share with you guys closer to the time. But yeah, I've got some really good things lined up. And yeah, again, just want to say thank you for this season and just thank you just in general for supporting the page, like I say, and it really does mean a lot. And again, I know it's not the way that we'd like to end the season, talking about defeat, obviously, but like I say, I've enjoyed it this season. I've met some really great people. I've had so many great experiences, and I've learned a lot about all sorts of things, to be fair. And it has been a season of progression, even though we haven't got the ultimate aim, which is promotion. We just missed out on that. But we're taking the step in the right direction under Nigel. And like I say, if we can keep the majority of the squad and add to it, then we've got every chance of competing in that automatic spot next season. So, bring on next season. But yeah, thanks again, guys, for the support of the page. Appreciate that. Enjoy the rest of your evening or day, depending when you watch this. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate the support once again. Take care. See you soon. Up the Stags.